As a small business owner, you deserve more. More confidence, more connectivity, more of the tools that help your business thrive. And at Cox Business, you can expect more from us. We don't just have sales reps. We have perfect plan identifiers. People who will work with you to make sure your business gets everything it needs and nothing that it doesn't. Your business deserves more, and that's why you can expect more from Cox Business. Call 800-526-8572 to switch today.
There's nothing more predictable in life than the unexpected. Lightning will always strike. Hail will fall on roofs. Fortunately, there's AAA. AAA has been helping members stay prepared for over 100 years. So when unusual storms, fallen debris, or sudden leaks happen, you'll be covered. Check, check, and check. Get the home and auto insurance you need by talking with a AAA insurance agent today. Visit AAA.com/insurance or stop by your local AAA store.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome. But with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees in the battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our homes are shattered, but it doesn't matter 'cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go.
And hello, it's us. We're back. This is Cyber Wars. And I don't know, what am I this week, Jeff? Am I a devil princess or a cyber queen?
Devil princess dude or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I'm the red stick. Yeah. I'm the Indian princess this week, for real. So, hey, Stoner. What's up, Orty? Everybody's back in the house tonight. Hey, yeah, so what a week. Are all of our, like, tech projects and toys all buttoned up now that we don't have anything to do but, like, stay home?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I got some new colored cables for my main game rig that go with the whole LED theme. So, yeah, I got custom cables from Cable Mod, and so my case is looking pretty fly.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah, I should have hacked the Kremlin by now, but I haven't. Maybe another month on lockdown, and I will. I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, I just want to go on record. For those of you who are here back when we did Flu Bar, that show went off completely without a hitch. We have not changed any settings, so any problems tonight, you know we're probably being hacked.
Yeah, actually, so we had I told you, like, between shows, there were a few little glitches going on with the website, and that Jeff let us know about. So, of course, the first thing I do is jump into the security end of it and look at what's going on. And we were getting like more hits probably than we usually do. But what I found was an IP that was actually registered to a guy, and the guy's name was actually on the Who Is record, and he has a Twitter account. So I know. I thought this would be fun before the show, but actually it might be more fun after the show. So, I might be tweeting him when the show is over and saying, hey, dude, why is your IP? Yeah. Is this your IP? Because it says it is. Yeah.
There's various tiers of OPSEC. That is fail tier.
Oh yeah, that is mega fail. That's like fail level 1 or fail level 5. If you do it like DEF CON, it's fail level 1. Right. So that's DEF CON fail level 1. Yeah, I tried to hack your site. Yeah, I'm probing your site with my IP not masked at all, and it's a static IP, and it's registered to me. But hey, OPSEC rules, man. So,
oh fuck! Yeah. I forgot to turn my VPN on.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, we've had some fun getting around those two because you can't.
Yeah. But, so I got to throw Jeff some props here. Is that it? Right after FUBAR ended, 5 minutes after FUBAR ended, chat went down, the Spreaker player went down, and it completely unrelated to the probe because this was on their server end. And Jeff got us back up and running in time for the show, so mad props to Jeff on that one.
Mad props to Jeff. Good job.
Sometimes I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's between the three of us, there's not a whole lot that we can't do. So, yeah, so it's been a crazy week, and believe it or not, just when you thought that no more crazy could happen with Zoom, we had two more crazies happen with Zoom. So there was something that I had already seen it. I just wasn't going to say anything. Before the show, Jeff brought it up again, and I was like, yeah, we'll mention it. And then Orty comes up with another one, which I think was that Sam's. Was that Sam's?
Yeah, that was a Twitchy from Sam.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, I'd like to give our team a little bit of props that we've raised enough hell about it. We're certainly not the only ones. Lots of people have been raising hell about it, but I'd like to think that we had a little bit to do with the fact that pretty much everybody knows at this point that Zoom is Chinese Swiss cheese. Don't use it. Except that, Orty, is there one person that doesn't know that Zoom is Chinese Swiss cheese?
Yeah, apparently, because today, House Intel Chairman Representative Adam Schiff said that he wanted to start using Zoom for House Intel briefings.
He's such a Schiff head.
Let's just all process that for a minute. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee does not know intelligence. It probably has the second highest intelligence clearance in the House of Representatives or in all of Congress.
Yeah.
Does not know that Zoom is Chinese Swiss cheese. Everybody process that for a minute.
Process it.
And then go to Twitchy and find the story and retweet it for Sam so that way she can get braces for her kids. But Jeff, you found something today too on Zoom. And we were really trying not to talk about Zoom, but Zoom keeps doing stupid shit. So we have to...
sometimes you just have to deal with the shit that floats to the top. And
Zoom, DEFCON 1 level stupid.
Yeah. The article was over 500,000 Zoom accounts were sold or given away for free on hacker forums and the dark web. 500, and there were 290 accounts related, and this one hit a little close to home for me. The 290 accounts related to colleges such as University of Vermont, University of Colorado, Dartmouth, Lafayette, University of Florida were released for free.
And these are, and some of these are administrative level accounts, team administrators, business enterprise level administrator accounts, right? And
I don't know how well Dartmouth is known outside of, say, New England. There's a lot of smart people in Dartmouth. Come on, guys.
Well, and so this is the one thing that we haven't mentioned about Zoom. If you are, for instance, a country and a communist country who's known for their intellectual property theft, to be able to access, watch recordings that are made. So one thing that Zoom does is it gives you the ability to record your meeting, and those recordings are saved in the Zoom cloud. If you have those credentials, you can log in, watch those videos, and just steal that much more intellectual property. See what researchers are working on. You know, the Dartmouth biology division and their research, and you know what we don't need to explain this to our audience because they're very smart. But this is DEFCON 1 level stupid.
Yeah, and the purchased accounts included victims' email address, password, personal meeting URL, and their host key.
Yep.
See, now, this was all... Okay, to compound the stupid in this is that this was all done with a password or with a credential stuffing attack where they take credentials that have already been compromised from Zoom in the past. And they just hammered them to see if those were still active. And these 500,000 were. So...
Yeah.
So that also change your goddamn password, people.
So this proves, Zoom continues to prove exactly what I said about them from the beginning, and I've continued to say for over a year now, is that their history is horrid. And when you have a horrid history, and it continues to be horrid, you're not doing anything on the back end to fix anything because you don't give a fuck.
Right.
So once again, if you've used Zoom, go check have I been pwned or am I breached.com.
Yes, exactly. And if you use your password, this is another, we can't express enough how much your passwords need to be unique from account to account. And this is a really great reason because this was found recently, but nobody knows how long it's been out there. Now, I need to do one thing before we go any further because I was the first one to drop the F-bomb on the show tonight.
This program contains coarse language and adult themes. Parental discretion is advised. Naughty words and boobs. These are like Zastrovia.
See, and the guys know me well enough to know that when I do that, I'm playing the content warning, and that, like, even if they can't hear it, they know that I'm playing it. So,
Yeah, that's weird that you dropped the first bomb and not me.
but
I got it all out of my system.
It's not weird to Jeff. Jeff expected it because we were talking about Zoom.
Yes,
Zoom.
I know, that's right. That's why he brings it up, because he likes.
All right, enough about that shit company.
Enough about that shit company. Moving on to phishing emails.
Yeah. Let's go there.
Okay, so we have been bringing you every week since the lockdown started the latest phishing emails that are coronavirus related. Last week we had like a dozen of them, but this week it is one primary, and this came out a few days ago. You may have already seen it. Maybe you haven't. Hackers are now impersonating the White House and Vice President Mike Pence to phish you. This is brilliant. What do you think?
Yeah, because, as this has gone on, we've kept telling people, ourselves and Bleeping Computer. Also, I want to give a nod to Bleeping Computer, too, because they've been on top of the Zoom thing as well. But us, Bleeping Computer, ZDNet, we've all been saying over and over again, watch for official government transmissions. Don't go to the sketchy sites. Don't go to coronavirus19.org, because they're bullshit fish sites. Don't believe the emails you get unless they come from official sources. Well, these two actually look exactly like they're coming from official sources.
Yeah.
And they're not. I'm not saying the White House is sending out fish. I'm saying that these look good.
From the look of it, they did a decent job of cloning the White House website. Right? So,
yep.
Yes.
Yep. So it's not, they put some effort into it. But the language in it is a little bit off, and this is this is kind of a good little lesson. So read the White House instruction for America about quarantine, which will be prolonged till August 2020. Well, first of all, they're right there. They're trying to freak you out, right? Because that's going to freak everybody out. Oh my God, it's lasting until August. And if you see anyone saying that, then they got this email. Let them know they need to run their antivirus. But I mean, there's some articles missing from it. There's the verb. The subject verb agreement is not real good in that sentence.
The syntax is poor. Mm-hmm. There's missing some conjunctions. It's even if you say that Trump is completely articulate in his speech, a press release from the White House isn't going to be. So,
right? Yeah.
Wait a minute. So you're saying Mike Pence is not the vice president of United States?
No.
Okay.
Yes, it's dropping a lot of S's, a lot of thes, a lot of...
Right.
So, I mean, there aren't typos, it's just not the way...
English as a fourth language.
And it's signed the federal government, President Donald Trump.
Right.
That's also a little bit off. So, and this is something that I find with every phishing email that I've ever seen. It's going to be a little bit off, but what they're counting on is you're going to see that August 2020 date and you're going to freak out, click the link to see what the hell is going on and not notice anything else that's wrong with this email.
Wait, are you saying that a majority of Americans only read headlines?
Well, it's not even that. We've all played those brain games on the internet where it's like, can you read the sentence, and where it's missing words in the sentence, but your brain can still process it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. My dad was a printer. I worked for him for years. We proofread things backwards for that very reason, because you don't fill in the blank when you're reading backwards. But to that point, right, so I will say this. There was one article that I started to put in the queue for us tonight, but I didn't, about people falling, how really smart people, CEOs, I mean, we've done case studies in school about, chief financial officers that fall for phishing scams and transfer, millions of dollars. They make bank transfers and they're falling.
Well, we've covered that on the show.
Yeah, they fall for social. So people fall for things. It doesn't mean that you're dumb or you're crazy, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't call IT right away when you realize that you've done it. You definitely should. Don't let the entire organization get compromised because you clicked a link and you were embarrassed to say anything, because the CEO has fallen for it. I don't care what HR tells you. Everyone in the organization falls for this. It doesn't matter.
And HR is just as likely, if not more, to fall for these things.
HR falls for these things all the time. So anyway, invite them to an HR conference. They will fall for it. So that's the latest. They did do a really great job, so that they couldn't get the English in the email quite right, but they did a really great job of cloning the website.
Yes.
Yeah, and what this does is when you go to the website, it prompts you to download a document, and in the document you'll get a warning that This document is created with a previous version of MS Office Word, which, because, it wouldn't surprise me that the federal government was using Word 95 and not Office 365. But,
Right.
so it's got click enable editing and then click enable contact. And then this runs the VBA script, it installs the malware. And, we've talked about Word malware and Excel malware many times, so I don't have to go over that again. It runs a script to launch the installer that starts communicating with the CNC server.
Yes. And that's that. We've talked about Visual Basic scripts on here and VBA stomps, and that's basically what that is. And just know that a lot of the time, if you download a file and a link like this or something like that happens and you get that error message, it is very likely exactly what we're talking about. It was a phishing email. It's a bad file. There's a malicious script behind it. Don't click enable editing or whatever it's asking you to do. Don't make that second. If you get that far and you get that error message, you probably clicked on a phishing link. Just back out of there as quick as you can and run your antivirus. So, and they did, there's another scam in here that's talking about CEOs falling for phishing. If they didn't fall for phishing, this next scam would not be targeting them, but it's targeting CEOs specifically. It's from Mike Pence, and it says, "Hello, CEO." And it starts with, "Hope this email finds you well." But it says mail. Hope this mail finds you well. And there's some things bad in the English in this too, but
Yeah, this one's another one. Well, once you get past the header and you realize what it's about, it really becomes extortionware.
Yeah.
And this is beyond ransomware. This is phishing for people who, let's just say, I don't mind that they are falling for this phishing scheme. Because this email has to do with human trafficking, drug dealing, money laundering, and Pence wants to reach an agreement before bringing the issue to President Trump.
Right.
And this one doesn't distribute any form of malware, but it opens an email for the victim to respond with agreement, at which point they're to send bitcoins to the vice president to keep it quiet.
And this, it says that, well, it notes that previous extortion scams have proven very effective at getting victims to pay. They do because, I get to have one email address that I get quite a bit of them from, and one of Scrappy's followers actually was jokingly tweeting, well, I got this email from this guy that says he hacked my camera that's been covered with tape for the past 3 years. And which, so if you have your camera taped up and you get an email from an anonymous hacker and they say, I hacked your camera and I took pictures of you doing such and such. Now you've got to send me some money or I'm going to release them to all your friends and family. Then you go, no, you haven't, because it's covered. Right, so you haven't gotten pictures of me doing anything because I have.
You haven't hacked my camera. You don't have my IP or my MAC address.
But if someone doesn't have their camera covered and they've actually done those things, then they're going to pay because they don't want their wife or their kids or their parents or whatever to know that they were doing it.
Which just occurred to me as we're talking about it right now. Because everybody's using Zoom because they're trapped at home. Mm-hmm. They have uncovered their cameras, so we are likely going to see this extortion ring running around again.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
Yeah, absolutely. And people joke on Twitter about sex chatting over Zoom. That is a night. I can't even. I'm not even going to go there. But so, it doesn't work on some people because they know that it's not possible because their camera's covered or whatever. But if it's not, then yeah, it works. Things work sometimes. People fall for things. Doesn't mean that you're stupid. It just means, we're just telling you pay more attention and don't be one of those people that falls for shit. Our audience never falls for anything. I know that. They listen to us harp about it too much, don't you think?
And as Bill just caught out and pointed in the chat, signed the Vice President of the United States.
Yes.
Not united, united.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look close, you can see those things, but if you're freaking out about something, right?
Right.
So that's the social engineering end of it. So they give you something to freak out about, and you're so shocked and beside yourself that you don't notice all those little errors and things. So you just click to get to the meat. So one other thing before we go to break. And Jeff, you brought this up, so I'll let you talk about the YouTube, the Firefox, and fingerprinting, if you want to.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I had it muted. So YouTube, and I don't think YouTube's the only site, but YouTube becomes borked when users enable Firefox anti-fingerprinting.
Twitter does it too.
It does it? Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know what anti-fingerprinting is, it's the ability of websites to track you even after you cleared your cookies. It kind of ties it to your specific computer and web browser. So if you're using YouTube or your kids are using YouTube and all of a sudden they're saying, hey, my image is not the way it should be, and you're using the Firefox, and I'm not sure if the other web browsers use it or not, but I know this one is specific with Firefox, new version or old version, and YouTube just doesn't want to work right. It looks crazy. And you basically have to turn it off or get in and do some stuff behind the scene to make it to work. But it's kind of fascinating that every time a web browser tries to do security for you, these websites go, nope, not going to happen. Sorry, fuck you.
What it means is that YouTube is collecting way too much device and personal information about you. And I mean, I do it. Everybody does it. Everybody uses YouTube. I deleted the app from my phone, so I can only get YouTube through my browser. I doubt very seriously that helps a whole lot, but they do some tracking through the app on mobile devices that they don't do or can't do through Safari. So I also deleted all of Google's applications from my mobile device. But I mean, some sites are just collecting way too much information about you.
Well, this goes back to a term of service change for Twitter. I think it was about a year ago, where they changed their TOS to where they let you know that they were putting fingerprints on your browser, and that you could be suspended not only for what you did on Twitter, but for what you did on other sites too. They could suspend you for comments made on YouTube. They would suspend you for if you went to like Stormfront website or anything that they found socially unacceptable. And I think that this turned into be too much trouble for them, because I don't know anybody who has been suspended under these TOS guidelines. But they definitely have put the fingerprints into their website to track you wherever you go.
Yeah, and it's entirely too intrusive. It's entirely too much information about you. They let you know, but they put it in their TOS. They let you know that they were gathering that information, so they probably have a database full of that information about you. And some people are adamant about using the web application instead of a device on their phone for privacy reasons. I can certainly understand that, but I don't know that it's really any better than having an application on your phone.
I think that Firefox just proved that doesn't make one bit of difference.
Yeah, no, I don't think it does.
Because that's one of the selling features of Brave. That's how Stacy Linux got me into using Brave, was that Google can't run analytics on you if you're using Brave if you have the shields up. And that's one of the things that converted me to it. But because of my own laziness, I've just defaulted to using Google on YouTube.
Right.
And I think if I were to run Brave on YouTube right now, I would run into the same thing that Firefox does.
Yeah. Now, I will say this before we go to break, that all three of those stories that we just covered were the last three. The first one was Twitchy, of course. The last three were Lawrence Abrams of Bleeping Computer. You can follow him on Twitter. I just had his account up. And they're a great source for just that kind of information. It's really easy to use, and he presents things in a very
easy to digest.
Yeah, very easy to digest, layman's terms. He doesn't get too technical like some of the tech blogs do. So he's a great follow, and it's Lawrence Abrams. Really just spelled exactly how you would expect it to. That's his Twitter account. So
he's actually one of my favorite guys over at Bleep the Computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
He does great work. He writes a lot, very prolific. He does a lot of their work. So we're gonna take a break.
And I don't use this word often, but as far as IT is, he is what I would consider a pure journalist.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would totally.
I can never tell where he's coming from on a story other than just reporting it.
Yeah, absolutely. He is balanced. And okay, and I will say this, since you brought that up, with the Zoom story, there's way too much in the tech journalism. There's way too much covering Zoom's ass going on. I don't like it at all. But, so we'll be back in a minute. We're going to break. See, hang on. We got more good stuff coming.
Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Oh, babe, don't know what I'm gonna do. I see my redhead mess bed, tear shed, queen bee miss squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds, in hell I'll be in good company.
my redhead, mask red, tear shed, cream beam a squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood squirt, stop shirt like me on a tree.
All right, we're back. That was mostly music because, how many times can you listen to those ads, really? Right? So.
My son was in the Army.
You know what? I was like, oh shit, did I hit the button? That was really good, Orty. Wow, I am impressed. I thought I had accidentally hit something on the deck, and it was actually. Wow, that's crazy. All right.
A little behind the scenes there. During the break, we were playing the game, Do I Have COVID or Allergies?
Yeah.
So,
which is really, I didn't even go into the pollen. And I mean, the pollen has just been lit. But it's calmed down a little bit now. But for the, it's like, it's crazy. Like, I go outside and I'm like, all right, now I'm sick, right? It's like, can I take my temperature? My throat is on fire. Do I have the itis? What's going on? Okay, I can't even decide which thing I want to talk about first.
Okay, I'm going to flip the coin and say Dark Hotel.
Okay, good, because that's what I was going to say. So yay.
And that was the browser I had open. So
Dark Hotel is a hacking team, a group that there's a lot of information on them, and they believe they've been around since 2007, and they're pretty busy, but they're not always busy. They're one of those APTs, Advanced Persistent Threat Groups, that stick their head up every now and then, and then they pull it back down. They're like the guinea pig on pet interviews. So they
they were actually pretty busy last year. In 2019, I think that they had 5 ops, which was like the most they've ever run in a year.
Five major exploits that they used. And so this is a really talented team. So they have, they use major exploits and backdoors. They're a very talented team. They've hacked the embassy of Italy, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, Indonesia, Thailand, the UAE, Armenia, North Korea, Israel, Vietnam, Turkey, Malaysia, Iran, Ethiopia, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, and India.
Or about half the Animaniacs song of the world countries.
Hey, real quick, comment from chat. JC said Dark Hotel, that's a terrible name for a hacker group. They got that name actually because their main MO is pulling data out of travel and tourism databases.
Yes. And hacking hotel Wi-Fi's as well, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they monitor diplomats and heads of state or cabinet members and things like that.
CEOs.
CEOs of major corporations and very, very important people through hotel Wi-Fi's, which I found interesting. I have a theory, of course. I have a theory about every APT we talk about. My theory about Dark Hotel is that they are, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but this is just my theory, that they're a U.S.-South Korean joint venture. I have my reasons for thinking that. One of them is that the U.S. and South Korea are not on this list of embassies that were hacked. But that's not my only reason. But I have a lot of reasons. But that's my theory.
A good chunk of their attacks are aimed at China, and they know that the attacks come off of the Korean Peninsula. They just don't know if it's north or south. Which, we've talked about the number of IPs that North Korea has, which is IP blocks, which is less than a major corporation.
Yes.
So
One top
that would be
level,
pretty.
if that's still the
Yeah.
case, they had, and it's been really recently, only one top level IP, which is your IP range, right? So it would be like 175.0.0.0 or .1 to 175.255.255.255. Right, so that's how many IPs they have. So enough to cover my neighborhood.
1 million.
Yeah, my neighborhood and the 3 neighborhoods around me or something like that. I mean, it's not many.
Yeah, one top level IP covers 1 million IP addresses. So that lets you know in the entire country of North Korea, they don't have 1 million IP addresses.
Right. And most of them are controlled by government and, high-level government people. Of course, because it's a communist country, and that's how they operate. Most people...
Sorry, 1 billion, not 1 million.
Most people in South Korea or in North Korea don't have access to the internet, don't get to use it unless you're important in the party. And then it's all monitored. I mean, because it's like Pepsi or Coca-Cola or whatever they monitor their networks. Like it's not, I won't say it's easy to do, but it's relatively easy to do. Mm-hmm. North Korea monitors all of the IPs and everybody's internet that's using the internet, which is not a whole lot of people. Anyway, so we don't. I don't think it
is real easy to do.
There have been, and this is another thing. There is a lot of bias, not only in internet security, or in cybersecurity and the different security research groups in the countries that they work within and work with. There's bias. We all know that. CrowdStrike. The Chinese security, cybersecurity corporations or companies, or they exist to make the CCP happy. So we know that there's bias. So I believe that that there was probably a lot of bias in identifying North Korea as being behind this group. There's nothing about this group that makes me believe that it's actually North Korea. I'm hard pressed to believe that. It very likely could be South Korea, but I don't think it's only South Korea. I think that we have a lot of their targets and the things that they've done in the past. That there's a lot of U.S. self-interest wrapped up in that.
Well, regardless, I will offer up one piece of information that makes me think that you are correct. Besides the attacks on the Chinese government entities, was it 2 weeks ago? There was a reported attack against the WHO.
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
And what country has the WHO fucked over the most in the last 2 weeks?
Well, and not only that, it's like if it's not, well, yeah, it's that, and it's the fact that we have a vested interest in finding out what's going on between the WHO and China. We have a vested interest in finding out what's going on inside China. And beyond that, we have the manpower and the computer power to pull off some of the things that they pulled off.
Now, the only thing that gives me a moment of pause on this is that the reports from this most recent hack where Dark Hotel compromised 200 VPN servers in China, is that last week we talked about, because this is from the same Chinese security firm, Keo 360, who thought that they were all Ed Snowden talking about CIA's attacks against China for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
So I think that if they really, because of this report, if they really thought that they could have pinned this even tangentially on the U.S., they would have.
Right. I agree with that. And, but then, and this is like partly like just me and my own bias and my patriotism.
No, sure.
Right. But we're just that good. They can't pin
Right.
it on us, right? I mean, of course I think
Well,
that.
we're not, because they reported 12 years of CIA hacks.
right, exactly. They have to pin something on us. They have to make it up. But at the same time, if this is Cyber Command, then they're maybe not that wrong that we've been hacking them for 10 years. Well, of course we've been hacking them for 10 years. Give me a break. I hope we have, anyway. So, if they're not, why the hell not? So anyway, but I didn't mean to yell. But really, if they're not, why not? So yeah, and this firm I was talking about them, Kihu. I mean, they exist to make the CCP happy. So, I mean, who really knows? But this is a great story. The other thing I did is I looked at them on MITRE, right? So it's not the information about Dark Hotel was not coming from Kihu. It was coming from MITRE, and MITRE Attack is just another site like FireEye, another firm like FireEye that tracks advanced persistent threats, state hacker groups, and non-state hacker groups, and cybercrime groups, and they're a lot of fun. That site's a lot of fun to dig through. So that's one that I use a lot, and some of the information on MITRE made me think that this is us. So, but I think a lot of stuff is us because I think we're just that badass. So,
sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, this attack used zero-day vulnerabilities in Firefox and Internet Explorer to compromise 200 VPN servers in China, specifically in Shanghai and Beijing.
Yeah, and they got them to download. So they convinced they loaded an executable that with an update on it on the VPN servers. And then when the people connecting to the VPN servers connected, it said you have an update, and they downloaded the update, and then their devices were compromised. So it was
it was actually a booby-trapped version of the actual legitimate EXE that you would use in a VPN update.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting. It's somewhat sophisticated, but not too sophisticated. I imagine that getting into the VPN servers to leave that to begin with, that part was a little bit sophisticated. But it's not. It's a little bit social engineering, and it's a little bit a technical exploit, and it was really kind of brilliant, to be honest. This is really smart. And
it was a good hack.
Yeah, it was a good hack.
If I'm being honest, I can see the good side of this hack too, because for all the good people in China that use the VPN to communicate with the outside world, this is a good way for the good side hackers to get in and make sure they can stay up and running too. Not necessarily saying this is it, but being able to get into the VPN like this, I can actually see some good uses for it.
Yeah, there's so many good, like, if the right people were behind this, there's a lot of good that you could do with it. I mean, you could monitor their, the targeting of innocent people, or targeting people targeting whistleblowers, or, trying to locate people that the CCP was actually trying to get rid of, and some of
or find the 23 million missing phones, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Where did all those people go? So, and some of the organizations that were using the VPNs were government agencies, right, Orty?
Yes, correct. With China, there's only you only get to use the internet VPNs if you are a good party official. Yeah, that's whenever you run into someone who's Chinese, mainland Chinese, on Twitter, they are generally a CCP operative, or there to propagandize the CCP.
Yeah, and Chinese capitalism is merely an arm of Chinese communism.
Sure. And I'm not talking about Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a little different, but on mainland China itself, you are a pure party official if you're on the internet.
Yes. Right. Yeah, and Hong Kong is a little different. They can only get away with so much in Hong Kong, so
Sure.
Before people start,
China is asshole.
yeah, exactly. Just before people start that. So I dropped the link in the chat, and you can read it. Probably makes more sense than us rambling about it, but it's really fascinating, and that's another group that we haven't covered before. And you can Google them and read about them on MITRE. They're really interesting, and they've been around for a good long time. So there's lots to read about those guys. Now, the other thing is not quite as much fun because it's about China hacking the rest of the world, and I think probably primarily us.
This is the whole world.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the whole world, and China is
If
asshole.
I can add, it's not just the whole world; it's anything in orbit because of the software they run.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. So this was a major find, and the brilliant researchers at BlackBerry Security did it. So they found a Linux exploit, and initially people go, Linux. I don't use a Linux. I use Windows. Well, actually, you do use Linux all the time because 100%, 75% of all web servers, that is the server on which the website you are visiting.
Listening to us on, chatting with us on.
Well,
we're talking.
That's actually a Windows server. That's a.
I'm sorry. This story hits my heart hard as someone that was a Linux server admin.
I know. It does. It hits almost every server admin hard. It hit a lot of hosts and companies. But the big thing is, and you said anything in orbit, and one thing Jeff was talking about is 100% of the top 500 supercomputers in the world use Linux software and could be vulnerable to this backdoor. And it has been around since 2012. So for at least since 2012. So China has been snooping around in web servers, supercomputers,
satellites. I mean, unless it's got proprietary software, which most of them don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They run on a Core Raspberry Pis.
They've been snooping around in all of these things for 8 years.
If you're using Linux, Red Hat, all of them have this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
Jeff, have you composed yourself from the crush? Can you talk about it now?
No, I can't yet. Give me a couple more.
Oh, come on. We need you, Stoner.
If this is your wheelhouse.
And here's the part that gets me. Is some of the brightest individuals I've ever met have been Linux guys and Linux gals.
Uh-huh.
That I'm sorry. We've talked about it in the past. You think about the year 2012. You think about what all happened around that time.
Yeah, the Mayan calendar ended. We all died.
And right around March 13th, by the way.
Right.
But you think of all the hardware, the opening up of everything. Oh, I'm sorry. There's
a complacency. So there is
yes.
Linux malware. So there's been such a focus on Windows and Microsoft based malware because it is so prevalent, and Linux malware and exploits have been Less so that there's been a complacency for years in the Linux security world, and it's been very much focused on Microsoft and Windows, and that the Chinese exploited that big time.
Big time. And I'm sitting here. I read the story earlier. I'm here. I'm listening to everyone talk. I'm reading it again, and I can't believe I'm going to utter the following words. Thank God Microsoft is working on Linux now.
Okay, so
that's how I felt 2 weeks ago when I said, "Thank God Microsoft is using Chromium now."
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there at all, but where I am going to go is that because all of the offensive and defensive, all of the really brilliant security people that I know are very, especially the really smart malware people that I know, the ones that do malware research, and some of them, and my smartest professors, all Linux geeks, right? I mean, they're total Linux geeks, and they love they love all the systems and Linux servers, and so I really think this is going to be, and I really hope this is going to be a wake-up call.
Yes.
That makes those, brings a new focus to the vulnerability and the need for, greater, stronger Linux defenses.
100%.
Emery made a great point in chat too. He says Linux seems that it's got taken over by an HR department and politics anyway, which I can't disagree with, especially in the Red Hat line.
Well, yeah, and Red Hat has a company, and because I lived in the Triangle for a really long time, and when I moved there, Red Hat was a little company in a little building. Now they're a huge company that in a tower downtown Raleigh, right? And so, which we all call the tower, not the Red Hat Tower, but the tower. Red Hat is that important in the Triangle. So they boomed. They are a huge corporation now. So they should be more focused on security, for one thing.
They should be.
Yeah, and Red Hat servers should be impossible to get into.
Yeah. I mean, this was no less than 2 kernel hacks, and just.
I'm gonna go pour one out for Mandrake 9.2. I'll be right back.
Right. And it's like, of all people, the Chinese. I mean, why couldn't it have? Even the Russians would have been better than the Chinese. But
I could have been happy with the French Mandrake creators hacking it, but not Chinese.
Right, exactly. Anybody but the Chinese. But my first thought when I saw it was, why didn't at least Red Hat catch this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I can think of one reason. They're too friggin' focused on their logs. You're too friggin' focused on logging.
Now, we saw this in the early days of frickin' CMSs too. Content management systems, like WordPress and Joomla and .NET New, because they were so busy trying to make it cool, they didn't give a shit about their security.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Linux kind of fell into that culture a little bit too.
Well, and they built things into Linux from the start that made it a more secure platform. And then they just got lax from there. I mean, that was there for years. It was pretty tight and pretty secure. Because
our shit's bulletproof. We don't need to worry about it now. The world doesn't.
Sorta.
Going GUI with their server platforms was the start of their downfall. Once they started doing graphical user interfaces, so idiots and morons could start playing with it, that's when the security went out the window.
Yeah.
Like I said, so busy making it cool.
Yeah.
Let everything else fall aside.
Yeah.
Sorry, this one hurts.
I'm sorry.
I love my Linux, but this is unexcusable.
Well,
Sorry.
it's definitely unexcusable that it went so long without detection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nobody thought about that in 8 years. There wasn't some nerd along the way who just went, you know what? I want to make it better. I want this thing to really be bulletproof. I want this thing to be freaking ogre trying to roll. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, I would put that in the lap of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's open source. I mean, you can lay that in everybody's lap, and nobody had the thought of, in 8 years, to kind of,
right.
Go forensic on the core of it.
Somebody did eventually. Someone did eventually.
I honestly, I can't fathom that no one in 8 years. No one on the good side.
Yeah, we're going to leave this exploit open because I want, yeah.
Well, yeah, and so that's another good question is, had someone noticed it?
Well, this goes to the nothing is foolproof for a sufficiently talented fool.
Yeah, that's a good one. And that's true, right? I just wonder if it had been noticed and just never gotten out.
No, I'll tell you why I don't think that it had been noticed and hadn't been gotten. We talk about this a lot. Hackers are fame fags.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Yep. That is true. Yeah.
So now that we're all depressed about
it. This was a blow to all of us for one reason or another, right? Because I'm like,
oh yeah,
there's no blue team geek anywhere notice this, right? And Jeff's like, no server admin anywhere notice this. It's just like it's bad. So I think that we all need to go cry in our coffee.
Yeah, because we all have our wheelhouses. Mine is Windows, yours is Mac, Jeff's is Unix, Linux, and this kind of goes into the how everybody accuses everybody else of getting high on their own farts from time to time, and this is Linux doing that this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Apple does it a lot, Windows does it a lot, but this one is definitely
Linux devs sniff their farts more than anyone else.
Right, I was being kind, but yes, I mean that they are at a fart oxygen bar.
Well, yes, but no, it is open source, and hackers are fame fags, and if you can, break something Linux, it's definitely a victory lap, and so I mean, it's I don't think that it's that people don't try to break it. So I wrapping my head around this one is tough. It's tough. It's just hard to.
I just coming. I have to come back as I'm not defending this at all, but I would love to find out more because as we've reported in the past, especially with phones and other things, the networking hardware. I want to know more about that and its role in some of these hacks and whatnot.
Well, it does kind of explain that TTS hack and or the text messaging hack that we talked about a couple months ago or before the end of the year last year with that one hack with the Chinese did where they were reading text messages in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah, it does.
It does kind of open the window on that one, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does, and I wondered when I saw that if that was something that led to this realization that this was going on. The other thing is that, Jeff, there's a so inside this story, it's a Forbes stories. I'll drop this for our group too. That there is a full report, a full security report. It's linked the decade of rats analysis. So there's a full security analysis there. So, you know,
Oh,
to read,
I didn't see that the first time.
to read. It's in that story. I actually will send you the link to it. So,
I have tomorrow's to-do list now.
right, exactly. This will be fun. I'll be interested to know what you think about it. So
apparently, there's a drinking game in chat now. Whenever we say fame fag, they drink.
well, if I had known that, I'd be saying it a lot more.
Right.
Thanks for telling me. We'll come up with some other good leet speak for you guys to drink to. So, yeah, so this has been a great show, and I think we're all depressed and need to go have a drink now. The chat room.
Well, you know what? At least I don't have to deal with smug Linux programmers anymore. We've never had that. Now you have.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
I feel seen here.
And I love my Linux. I love them all. I'm not one of those people that's like, I only use Ubuntu or I only use Kali. Or I use them all. I have a virtual machine with like 5 different distros, and sometimes I swap them out. It's like Parrot right now is my favorite, but that'll change. Ask me in 6 months, it'll be Kali or something.
I won't lie. My theory in my statement for 30 years has always been, I don't care. Give me Windows, Mac, or Linux. But once you set a human in front of it, all bets are off.
Nothing is foolproof for a sufficiently talented fool.
Right. That's absolutely true, Jeff. That is 100% true. So, and Mac, which is, by the way, also Unix, in case you didn't know that, but it's also Unix based. But even though it's sandboxed and everything is separated and it has all this crazy security built in, you can still mess it up. You know, you give the wrong thing, download some stupid program and give it access to your full computer, you're screwed. I mean, you can still mess it up. So,
yeah.
I mean, it tries to be idiot proof, but it, you know, you can still like hose the Mac. So, now that we've cheered you all up, and we're so happy that we don't need a drink at all, it's been great. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. Orty, tell them where you're at.
This week, as far as I know, I'm off until Juxtaposition, unless Dan Wright is deemed an essential employee again. Then I'm sure I will be back on Robinson and the Right. And you can find me as Orty Packard on Twitter.
And Stoner?
I will be doing my 30-minute In the Crease Friday night. I'll be talking about the Big Bang Theory and the end of the universe. And occasionally you can find me on Twitter at Stoner Brewing Co. when I'm not deactivated.
Which is whenever he feels like being there, which is, you know, just absolutely fine, because
I don't
can be
talk
a pain
politics.
in the ass.
I don't talk politics on my Twitter, and I was on the verge of exploding at a bunch of people, so I deactivate it to be kind.
Twitter can be a pain in the ass. I don't judge anybody who needs to leave for any period of time, because leaving that place is good for you. And
Twitter is asshole.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm here on Monday night with these guys, and on Friday night with Aggie and Anti-Vodka. We just act stupid and talk crazy and hopefully make people laugh. And so we're on before Jeff. Yes, we are on before Jeff on Friday night, so you can catch me then, and then catch him, and then catch Orty a little later in the evening. And Al...
In between.
Yep. So thanks you guys so much for joining and making chat lively as usual. And we love you, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Hail Hydra.
But then